So Bungie recently dropped a new TWAB highlighting exotic armor pieces, and let me tell you, these things look sweet. Now, I typically don't read TWABs because there's far more qualified people to do so, but then I thought to myself and said, you know what, F it. So let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to read the entire TWAB because, like I said, there's way more qualified people to do that. I typically don't read TWABs myself. I usually just watch other people's videos about them. But I did want to at least read the stuff about the exotic armors because I love the fashion in Destiny. I always have, always been a big fan, you know, so anytime there's new armor pieces, new exotics, whatever, like that's the stuff I love to talk about. So let's jump right in. It starts by saying, heard you liked new exotics. These days, Destiny 2 literally has a fashion show. So I think we're long past the days of pretending Destiny isn't a massive flex of gear in those sweet, sweet dance moves. This is true. With more exotics on the way as we crush enemy hive ghosts with our bare hands, we wanted to give you a little sneak peek at some of the new exotic armor that Guardians will be able to don and what sort of perks that come with them. So this is where I get really excited. And then it goes on to say, it's all fun and games in the Destiny class war until somebody takes it seriously. So it begins this exotic explanation of armor pieces with the Titan. And let me tell you, this has got to be one of the coolest Titan helmets that I've ever seen since, probably since One-Eyed Mask. So this exotic helmet is called the Loreley Splendor Helm for Titans. And it is more than just a pretty face. It has the cauterizing flame perk that allows for sunspots to heal players when they have Sun Warrior. Critically wounded? No big. The perk also ensures that a sunspot is created in your location to give you that one last fighting chance with that quick grenade and melee ability recharge and longer supers. Plus, more damage, always a good thing. Now, this is going to be an absolute critical exotic helmet, and I think it will actually be very useful in in-game content, just given the fact that when you get critically wounded, you'll drop a sunspot. Sunspots also heal. I would assume it heals you as well as your allies. Yeah, it says a cauterizing flame perk that allows for sunspots to heal players. Yeah, so it'll heal you, which is really good. It actually turns the Titan into a bit more of a support character than we already have. And obviously, you know, you got the bubble and stuff, but let's be honest, outside of the bubble, there wasn't really much utility for Titans in terms of a supportive kind of role. And I've always wanted to be that defensive, you know, support character that can protect the protector of my team in tough situations, and I think this could really help out. Gonna be really good. From the developer team, playtest named Stag Spot Helm. The goal here was to embrace the awesome art and to give Sunspot players another choice besides Phoenix Cradle. Also, melee builds are becoming more popular, and this makes higher level difficulty melee more viable, at least in theory. Yeah, that'll be good. I don't know if you're gonna be out here punching people with, you know, in Grandmasters, but still, I think at in-game content, this helmet is actually going to be a very useful, viable option outside of, you know, obviously Phoenix Cradle. And then moving on to the chest piece. Now, the chest piece, I didn't like this at first. And to be honest with you, even seeing it now, I think it could potentially use some work. It looks all right, right? This exotic chest piece is called the Titan's Hoarfrost Z chest piece. Is also nothing to scoff at, though this one takes a chillier approach to combat for stasis users with the Glacial Fortification perk. So when a player uses stasis, it allows for a Titan's Barricade to become an impressive wall of stasis crystals. Oh, okay, so this is the one that we saw in the trailer where he was still being able to use Rally Barricade and still have the, you know, the defensive protection from a stasis barrier. These crystals will slow any target that gets too close, while also boosting a player in their fire team's weapon reload, stability, and range. So that's pretty cool. From the developer team, this was a team effort. The original idea was to replace barricades with just a single ice block, but Kevin Yanes and the abilities team had some ideas and stuff lying around from Beyond Light for spawning crystals. To spice it up, we wanted to have it grant the new abilities of Rally Barricade. And then Yanes suggested that the spawned objects could be Stasis' version of a Rally Barricade window. It proved to be a ton of fun, and the rest is history. Now, I like what they did here. Now, I still think that the Titan Stasis class needs a lot of work. It needs a full rework. I think this is potentially going to be a nice novelty exotic. I don't know how much this is going to be used in in-game content, but I mean, the option to replace you know, the barricade and still get the benefits of a Rally Barricade, I think is something that could be a lot of fun to use. Could be fun. Moving on to Warlock. So it says, okay, Warlocks, you're up. First up, let's talk about them legs, because Warlock mains have definitely been shouting out their love for the new Secant Filaments armor. With the Devouring Rift perk, those shiny walking sticks of power will grant a player Devour when they cast their Empowering Rift, allowing for damage from both allies and individual players the ability to disrupt foes, but in style. That, man, these are going to be so good in in-game content, I feel like. So the developer team goes on to say that this started as what can we give warlocks that would make Empowering Rift a more viable choice in Master Plus content. We figured the answer was, well, probably has to heal you, and eventually we settled on what we called the Devouring Rift Pants. Overload was added to increase excitement and expand the player's options had to build for various champion-enabled content. Now, the fact that these boots will be able to deal with Overload champions, I think, is a really interesting concept that Bungie is trying out that I hope they add to other exotics in the future, i.e., you know, pants or a chest piece that is able to deal with, you know, pants or chest piece that is able to deal with maybe barrier champions or even unstoppable champions. I think this is a really good idea and something that other, you know, will inevitably increase the excitement for exotic pieces in the future if they have additional utilities like this intrinsic. Next up, the Osmeo Mansi Gauntlets for Warlocks. This nifty look allows for cold snap grenades to have an additional charge that will recharge faster when it makes direct impact. The Seeker spawn from cold snap grenades also travel further too. Bonus. So I'm not even thinking about the cold snap grenades. I'm thinking about double stasis. I'm thinking about double stasis turrets. You know what I'm saying? The ability to run double stasis turrets is going to be absolutely nasty. And again, I say going to be really good at in-game content. And I feel like this may be more or less the theme of everything, giving players the options and exotics that actually have a utility in, i.e. the raid or potentially in you know, just other in-game content. Because from what we've seen in the past, you know, some of these exotics are cool, but they inevitably don't really help you where it really matters most. So this is really cool that they're taking this approach for adding utility to be able to combat, you know, some of the toughest challenges within the game. So it goes on to say, since Hunters have had a Duskfield modifier and Titans had something like a Glacial modifier, it felt natural to give Warlocks something for Cold Snap. Fun fact, the ground follow for this is so fast that we had a bug file to change how it acquired targets. The issue? A grenade thrown near a combatant's feet could spawn a ground follow that traveled through and behind the enemy, then turn around and come directly back to the Warlock by the time the visual effects applied. It looks like the cold snaps were actively avoiding hitting targets and speeding directly away instead. Thankfully, that shouldn't be an issue at launch. So that's really good that they fixed that. So it goes on to say, don't worry, Hunters. I still have a love for you despite the jokes. You got some pretty cool gear on the way, including the Blight Ranger helm and the Voltaic Mirror perk. Lightning lovers, here's where your arc powers can truly shine. This perk allows players to redirect with their arc staff to deal an increased amount of damage and orbs of power generation for all allies. Basically, get in there and do some damage. Sounds like a good time. So for me personally, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the perks, this perk that allows you to redirect damage back at enemies. I felt like it was already, using Middle Tree Arc Strider, you were already deflecting damage back. I mean, unless this is absolutely insane amount of damage, I don't really know how much this is gonna be used. But again, it's probably something we're just gonna have to check out and see how it does. So the developer team goes on to say, we wanted to make something for Arc Strider that leaned into an aspect of the super that doesn't normally get focused. There are players that love wielding other people's attacks, creatures, game pieces, etc. against them. This is for you. This is for those people. So I mean, again, I think this will be a novelty exotic. I don't know how much this is going to provide utility in endgame or perhaps the raid, but again, we'll just have to see how this works out. And lastly, Hunters also have the Renewal Grasp to look forward to with the Depths of Duskfield perk. This gives Guardians a much larger radius for their Duskfield grenades, while also nerfing incoming damage for allies within the Duskfield's range. Any targets locked within that space will also deal out a reduced amount of damage, so go out there and make those Hive cry. So it looks like from the developer team, Stasis Hunters now have a sort of mini Silence and Squall that can be deployed with a grenade. This gives Revenants the ability to play a more team-focused role or to play more of a aerial denial control game than they've been able to before. So, you know, for myself, I play all 3 classes, so naturally I will be going for all 3 of these exotics. I would say that if I really had to choose, I'm more excited about the potential of the Titan and Warlock exotics than I am about the Hunters. Although I will still get my Hunters exotics naturally, you know, just because of the completionist that I am, and still try them out and hope that I'm wrong in terms of what they can do in-game and potentially just overall usage. But I think these exotic pieces look absolutely beautiful. I am very, very excited to see how these perform, and I'd like that, you know, it builds the excitement that they were giving us, you know, kind of a closer look at some of these exotics prior to the launch of the Witch Queen. But let me know what you guys think. Out of the 6 exotic armor pieces that were mentioned here, what is the one that you think you're most excited about? I think for myself, if I had to choose, it would probably be that Titan helmet. Now, I have been neglecting my Titan over the last couple months, just haven't really been in, you know, having too much of a reason to run my Titan, but this helmet definitely gives me a reason to jump in on day 1 and try to cop it. And until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Let me know what you're most excited about for the Witch Queen and if you will be playing on day 1. And until then, I hope you're safe, I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.